Sure, I've been a faculty member in civil and environmental engineering at UMass for about 30 years, and my primary area of research is in water treatment, water treatment technologies and contaminants in water, protecting public health. So our work at UMass, and in particular the work that we're talking about here with SWIM, pertains to testing technologies and looking at innovative ideas because the industry is very, very slow to adapt. It's one of the most conservative industries. And we're still in 2015 using technologies that were developed more than 100 years ago. I think it's partly because of the structure of the industry in the United States. It's highly decentralized to small communities and cities. And in other parts of the world, there are larger companies that sometimes manage and build and operate water treatment plants. But in this country, it's mostly up to the cities, communities. And they don't have the resources necessarily to look at new technologies, especially the smallest ones. But there's also the concern about public health. And we are coming off of a wonderful public health triumph 100 years ago, but we still are basking in the glory of having almost completely eradicated waterborne diseases in cities. And this revolution occurred with drinking water filtration and drinking water chlorination, two pieces of what we call conventional water treatment, back in around 1910. And it was so successful that I think people are very afraid to tamper with this because we know it works. So I think what we need is a more progressive view from the point of view of the regulatory community. And we're going to try to be working with some of the regulators in New England, set up a model system where they can be perhaps more open, communicate amongst themselves, because the control and approval of new technologies is done mostly on a state-by-state basis, and sometimes region-by-region basis within the states. And so if we can get good communication between these groups and minimize and reduce the barriers that are there for entrepreneurs to get new technologies accepted, I think it'll happen much more quickly. There's also the need to get the end users to recognize that it's worth making an effort to try to adopt and test out new technologies too. And the whole industry is quite conservative, and so it may be a little bit of a battle. So what are the new technologies we're working on? There's at UMass are quite a few, but one that I could mention to you that I'm excited about is a compound that is used as a disinfectant, but it's a very green chemical called ferrate, F-E-R-R-A-T-E. It's a form of iron that's highly oxidized, and it is added to the water. It disinfects, it helps remove contaminants, and it settles out as just innocuous iron hydroxide, rust essentially. There are no, as far as we can tell, no harmful byproducts. And it seems like it could solve many of our problems. And I'm especially excited about this as an alternative for small systems that are really, really struggling. This is like a marriage made in heaven. It is. It's
a love story.
It is. And there's a lot that we can do with it. So universities are really, especially UMass, are well positioned to run with new technologies and develop technologies, test them out, and at the same time graduate high quality professionals as students who have master's degrees and even PhDs in environmental engineering and environmental science. Well, what limits us to some extent is the availability of research funding. It's so competitive at the national level. We have our new faculty who spend so much time writing research proposals, and so few of them get funded. They're marvelous things. They're works of art, but they often come to nothing because of the lack of federal funds. Now comes NEWIN. with these new innovative technologies, startup companies, venture capitalists, and they're looking for someone to test out these technologies. And there isn't the infrastructure to do it except at the universities, and that's the primary place. So here they have a need, and we can fulfill that need, and we have a need, and they fill our need. And so it's amazing that it hasn't happened as much already organically. But now we're organizing it, we're engineering it, and I think it's going to be a tremendous success. Well, from a rather parochial view, I think I see a tremendous opportunity for business in Massachusetts because we have so many companies. We have, for reasons that one could debate about, I suppose, and wonder why there's so much here, but there is. And I think it has to do with a large number of high-quality universities. But we have a tremendous innovative sector. And so if we can get this going, we can become a provider of technologies, water treatment systems for not just the United States, but the world. And that's great for Massachusetts. Well, there's one other thing that has come up a little bit, and that is the fact that we often don't, as citizens and consumers of water, fully recognize the value of water. We take it for granted. And it's really a valuable resource. And it's been said many times so far, this meeting, and I think this is really important, that for the industry to move forward and for us to embrace innovation, we need to value water properly and recognize the full cost of water. It's never going to be a tremendously expensive utility, but I think it's more valuable than people have acknowledged up to this point. And I think that if we do and we make that recognition, then it's going to help a lot to move the whole field forward, improve public health, and bring water to people who don't have high quality water today.